In today's video, we will be doing another mock draft. This is my second mock draft of the year, just past the combine and then also the bulk of free agency. There are some guys left, but not too many that we're super concerned about. Either way, before we get into this video, let me remind you, we are on our way to 1,000 subs and we're very, very close. Help me get there and I will do a jersey giveaway. Someone will win a free jersey of their choice. That is a standard jersey. Also, do not forget to go to w.gg, check out their energy drinks and their other products, their merch, whatever, and use code SHREDDER for 10% off your order, or click the link in the description, and let's get right into this video. So here is our draft board, and today what we're going to be focusing on is what did these teams do in free agency. So, starting off with the Bears, they just traded for Keenan Allen. As I'm recording this, it happened maybe 15-20 minutes ago. That's a big one. That is a really big one. They have DJ Moore, they have Keenan Allen. Do they go get a receiver? I don't think so. This tells you one thing and one thing only. It's Caleb Williams. Like you needed to know. If you really thought they're going to keep Justin Fields, you're just, that's pretty stupid. They're not keeping Justin Fields. He's not been good in 3 years. Oh, the OC, the weapons. He's had better weapons than probably 9 other teams. He's had, the OC isn't to blame for bad footwork and bad mechanics. If he didn't run a 4.6 or better 40, this guy would not be a starter and no one would be batting an eye. It's not a question. Washington. This is a question of what quarterback. This also comes down to today, because today they traded Sam Howell away. And now you're going to be watching yesterday at this point, but either way, or tomorrow, whatever it is. But it's Jaden Daniels, it's Drake May. To me, Drake May is the guy. You don't go anybody else, because if Caleb Williams doesn't exist, Drake May is quarterback 1 in this class. I don't think there's a doubt about that. But Jaden Daniels is climbing up the boards. I think Washington is a team that would mess this up and go get Jaden Daniels. Drake May is as good of a prospect as you can get. Jaden Daniels, his type of quarterback, these guys just don't work with the NFL. It's not the same. Oh, you got to scheme to so many different ways and you got to game plan so many different things. Except we've seen that just doesn't work with Justin Fields, with Lamar Jackson. These guys have major holes because you take away the run game and they can't throw the ball. It's going to be the same for Jaden Daniels more than likely, unless he becomes a really good passer, and I just don't see that happening. However, I am going to go with Washington taking Jaden Daniels, and I do think there's a route where he does good and has a really good career, but I think the chance of him succeeding at a high rate is lower than Drake May. Drake May goes 3. We're not going to question this. It shouldn't be a question. He is the best quarterback available. There's no doubt about that. And the Patriots need a quarterback. They need a receiver. They need a lot of things. But Drake May's a guy you just can't pass on here at 3. Makes too much sense. Also, the Cardinals have a big occurrence today. These teams are, the top 4 teams are really narrowing down what they're doing. And it's not to be any surprise. They're going to go Marvin Harrison Jr., and it's going to be pretty quick because they just traded away Rondale Moore for Desmond Ridder. They just let Hollywood Brown go to the Chiefs. It's over. It's done. Marvin Harrison is a Cardinal, unless he's a Patriot, but he's a Cardinal. Doesn't matter. Now, the Chargers. We're getting to a spot where trades are impending here. J.C. Latham has climbed up some boards. Joe Alt is obviously still a dude. They did just let Keenan Allen get traded, though. They also cut Mike Williams. They have a big gaping hole at wide receiver now. I think Malik Neighbors is too good of a prospect to let go any farther. They're in a spot that they can get a very good wide receiver, maybe even get Marvin Harrison Jr. if things shake out their way, though I highly doubt it. They're going to go get Malik Neighbors very, very quickly. Now the Giants here. They're in a very weird spot. I just don't really like a quarterback here. There's not one that seems good enough at this point. However, J.J. McCarthy is in play. I don't think it's the best case, but it might not be the worst thing. They let Saquon Barkley go. There's not a running back you're going to get. Other than that, they haven't made massive moves. They bring in Drew Lock. I think him and Daniel Jones are going to have some challenge at the quarterback position for this year. Are you going to replace Evan Neal? I don't think it's time yet. I think you need to give him more time. Really, give some weapons. To me, we're going to go quarterback, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. Rome Odunze straight off the board. Takes no time. Then we're going to hit our first non-quarterback wide receiver position here. And very quickly, I'm taking Joe Alt. This guy's a Titan. Can we just write it in already? He's a Titan. It just makes too much sense. The Falcons. They go out and get Kirk Cousins in free agency. They get, who else did they get? They got some, Darnell Mooney. There we go. Kadero Hodge is back. They have Drake London. They're definitely getting those offensive pieces together for Kirk Cousins in a run. They need some defensive help. This is the first spot I think we see a edge player go off, or the best defensive player in general, in my opinion, that is an edge rusher, and his name is Dallas Turner. I think it is a perfect fit and just makes way too much sense overall. I think here is our first trade. The Chicago Bears are going to trade back with the Denver Broncos. No, just kidding. They're not. The Minnesota Vikings, it will be them. They're going to trade 9 for 11. We're just going to force it. Obviously, there's more to it, but we're just doing a first-round mock. We're just going to make this happen for the sake of it. And Minnesota here is just making sure that they get their guy. Kirk's gone. They don't want Justin Fields because they've seen him enough. They're going to go get J.J. McCarthy. I think it's a good fit. I think it works really well. Kevin O'Connell is going to be a really good option for him. And it's just, Chicago has no need to sit here and just pick anybody with the way the board's shaking out. There's nothing here that just makes too much sense. The Jets are going to quickly go get a tackle. It's just, who do you want? Tulis Fuaga, Troy Fatanu, Olufashanu, whichever one you want. To me, I think the best player available is Olufashanu, but Talise Fuaga does seem like a good match for them. They did bring in Morgan Moses in a trade with the Ravens. That's a piece, but I don't think you're just outstanding with that. I think Olufashanu's the pick here. He just makes too much sense, and if he was in the draft last year, he probably goes top 6 picks in the draft. Now, Chicago. We're looking at, a lot of different routes here. They could go receiver. They could go, I don't think Brock Bowers is in play simply because of Cole Kmet's contract. They could go defensive back. They could go D-line. They could go edge. That's another good one. There's a lot here they could go. They could get J.C. Latham, Amarius Mims, Troy Fatanu, Talise Fuaga. It's just whatever you want to do. At this point, you've brought back Jalen Johnson. You bring in Kevin Byard. You bring in, I'm missing somebody as well. Obviously, you get Keenan Allen. You're not looking at receiver so much. Maybe they could trade back again. Corner could work, but you have Tyreek Stevenson. You have the other guy they just had in the last few years that I drafted. I can't remember his name. I'm blanking right now so bad. But D-line, the interior, Byron Murphy, Jerzon Newton, very, very possible picks here. I think, though, the best position of need is going to be Jared Verse. You just brought in Montez Sweat in the last season. Now you can put bookends that are both going to be pretty scary players. Neither is a dominant elite guy, but both can be very, very, very good. And that's all you need. With the pressure you get in the secondary, the pressure up front, a lot of things can happen and make a really good draft class here. Getting Caleb Williams and Jared Verse would be very, very nice. The Denver Broncos, they are just not happy. There is nothing great about this for them. Bo Nix, maybe he's a first rounder. 12 seems a little bit steep. There's other guys that could, Michael Penix is a potential first rounder, but he's a back end guy, if anything, in my opinion. To me, I think they try to start calling to see who might be willing to trade up. Who might that be? Well, who's available? The Bengals, Brock Bowers, interesting. The Steelers, maybe a corner, maybe a tackle, interesting. The Dolphins, they don't have enough to trade up. The Colts, it's really about what players are here. That's really what the point is. Terrion Arnold, Nate Wiggins, Cooper DeJean, Quinion Mitchell, Brock Bowers. Those are your guys to trade up for. Maybe J.C. Latham if somebody really loves him, but I just don't see a tackle being that big. And the problem is I just don't know who's going to be able to do it. Who's going to have the want to do it. I'm trying to find something here. Looking around, I really like the idea of them trading. I just don't know if they can. And I think that quarterback value is going to prove to be too much. Plus, you have the Raiders right behind you who probably would take one as well. However, I'm not going to go quarterback. They did just trade away their second best receiver. There are some guys here that maybe could have rose through the ranks so far. Guys like A.D. Mitchell, Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas, all had really good combines, things that you could work with there. However, not going to go that route either. I think the best pick they could make at this point would be to go get Brock Bowers. I think it just makes too much sense. Greg Dulcich he's a good player, Dulcich, whatever it is, but there's just, it's the best player available situation. He's a really good player, and whoever your quarterback is, Brock Bowers will be a great target for them. No doubt about it. Maybe Justin Fields lands with Denver. Maybe a later round pick swap would do the trick there. The Raiders here, they're an option for Justin Fields. However, I think right now Denver looks like a more promising place for him, especially with McCarthy not being available, things like that. To me, the Raiders, I'm going to have to they also have Minshew now. He could be a very good option. Maybe you go Bo Nix, maybe you wait. I think I'm going to go ahead and go. I think Bo Nix makes a lot of sense, though. I think it's a good spot for him. I think he's a fine player, maybe not as good as you want, but the quarterback positional value itself is just way too good to pass up on him. They need a guy right now. They need somebody who can start making them compete, and maybe Bo Nix can do that, maybe he can't. Either way, they need the positional value. The Saints here, where do they go? They just got Brian Bresee. An edge, maybe that's an option. Laiatu Latu here. A tackle, that's a very promising one there. They definitely could use a tackle. I think that's where we're going here. Talise Fuaga, Troy Fatanu. I'm going to go, let's see. I'm going to go Fuaga here. I think he is the better overall player and can fit on, honestly, either end of the tackle spot. Makes a lot of sense there. The Colts, they get Michael Pittman Jr. back. Who else did they get? Kenny Moore's back. That's a good one there. You know, corner's still in play, though, I think, because the depth is not the best. You also could go potentially an edge rusher, Laiatu Latu. A tackle, I don't think so much on the board. Maybe a D lineman. I believe that Grover Stewart is still a free agent out there. Maybe you get just another guy at receiver. Maybe another really good, player. You have Pittman, you have Alec Pierce, you have Josh Downs, but there could be more there. There definitely could be more there. I don't think there's anybody really standing out a great deal, but I don't think there's enough to move down here. I think they do stick and pick, and I think you go and really try to finish off this edge and get Laiatu Latu, a really good player who, if he can stay healthy, he could be really good. They don't have a really good edge at this point, and something they definitely need. The Seahawks, I think they're pretty upset that Laiatu Latu just went off the board right in front of them. They don't need a corner. There's a few things they don't need. They don't need a quarterback at this point because they have Geno, and now they just traded for Sam Howell. That's a really good thing I think they did. He could be their next quarterback after Geno, probably sooner rather than later. He's a pretty solid quarterback that, in my opinion, that just needed to be in a better situation, and Seattle's definitely that. They could be a defensive line team 100%. Their front seven is not good. They've lost both of their starting linebackers. Their backup linebacker in Devin Bush. Their best edge player is Boye Mafe. The problem is, with our edge position here, maybe Darius Robinson, maybe Jonah Ellis or Chop Robinson, Chris Braswell, that's a little bit steep for him. Really, I think you're looking at interior D-line. Jazon Newton is probably the only guy here that makes a ton of sense. They did bring back Leonard Williams. They do have Drummond Jones, but best player available at a position of need it's just going to have to be what it is. Maybe they go with a 4-3 defense this next year and, get more of those D linemen down there and make just use of all your players. The Jaguars. They lose Calvin Ridley. I think receiver here makes a ton of sense. Now, T. Higgins, the next pick of the Bengals. He might be on the move. They did franchise tag him, but he has requested a trade. I think you still go receiver here, even if you're able to get T. Higgins. You need to get Trevor Lawrence in the best situation possible right now. No doubt about it. You've got to do something to make him look better than he has because it's just not cutting it to this point. Where does that take you? Maybe Brian Thomas, maybe A.D. Mitchell. Now, the only thing is, the corners on the board are really good as well. You do have a big need there. You lost your second best corner, and, we've seen back and forth play from Tyson Campbell. I think maybe this is a bigger need. If you are able to go get T. Higgins, this could be a massive hole to fill. I think they're going to go this route. And I think it's either Quinyon Mitchell or Terrion Arnold. To me, Terrion Arnold seems like the Jaguars guy. I like the pick. I think it's fine. Now, Bengals. With T. Higgins potentially being on the move, that leaves a big spot open for receiver. Now, they do have a spot at corner. They have a spot at tackle. A lot of these things could be fixed. They are meeting with Mekhi Becton, but I don't know how much I like that. To me, J.C. Latham would be great here. It makes a lot of sense. He fits the team. I just think it makes a lot of sense. We go back-to-back Alabama players. The Rams, what couldn't they take here? Really, what couldn't they? I think there's one guy on the board that we see right here that makes way too much sense. He's still here. He's rose up the draft boards, and he somehow lands at this spot. It's Quinyon Mitchell. He's there. He's available. He's at a position of need. They bring in Darius Williams, but they don't have anybody else really. Their cornerback room is pretty bare, and he would be a really good spot for a potential CB1 in the future. The Steelers here, you all know what I want. You all know what I want. If you've been around this channel for about 5 seconds, you know what I want here. However, there's two routes. Only two, in my opinion. I've seen Troy Fatanu mocked to the Steelers. I just don't think a tackle is the spot. I think it's either Jackson Powers-Johnson or Cooper DeJean. Now, I don't think that Powers-Johnson's really a first-round guy or a top 20 guy. He's a very good player. The problem is the center position is not as valuable as many others. That can make him fall, and it's not even so much of Jackson Powers Johnson himself falling, it's more of other guys rising. Guys like Adonai Mitchell, Brian Thomas, Tyler Guyton, Troy Franklin, he's going to fall. Ladd McConkey, though, Brian Thomas, Peyton Wilson, Graham Barton, all these guys could rise up ahead of him and quite easily push him out of the first round just by happenstance. Darius Robinson, Kamari Lassiter, Braden Feist, any of those guys. I think here the position of need is the cornerback position more so. You do bring in Dante Jackson, losing a receiver. That's an option too. Looking at the board, A.D. Mitchell would be sick. Brian Thomas, sick. Ladd McConkey, really good player. Don't think he's a first-round guy, or at least this high yet as well. I think Cooper DeJean makes way too much sense. Get that secondary fixed up right. You do have George Pickens. You can get a receiver late. The Steelers are pretty good at that. They get a lot of really solid guys later in the draft. They could target Malik Washington. I like that in Pittsburgh a lot later on in the draft. The Dolphins here. They lose a couple defensive starters this past season. However, they bring in Kendall Fuller. They also brought in, I can't remember who. There was somebody they brought in yesterday at this point that was a pretty good signing, and I'm just completely whiffing on it right now, to be quite honest with you. But I think one thing they do need is some front seven help after losing Christian Wilkins, and Byron Murphy being here just makes way too much sense. Big need, fill the hole really fast. The Eagles, wow, what have they done this offseason? A lot of good things. They're paying Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, all less than Dak Prescott is making this year. Less than Daniel Jones is making this year. That is insane. Absolutely insane. Makes no sense. However, what do they need? Maybe Jackson Powers Johnson. They grab him to replace Jason Kelsey. Maybe a corner. That's a big one. That makes a lot of sense as well. Maybe a tackle to replace Lane Johnson in the future. Not so much of a need. I think Nate Wiggins here. It makes a lot of sense. Other corners, Kool-Aid, TJ Tampa. Maybe one or two others. That one just makes too much sense, though. He's the best guy available. Nate Wiggins is an Eagle pretty quickly. They need the cornerback room to just be reset pretty hard. The Texans here. So, what have they done this offseason? A lot of things. They also get Joe Mixon. They also get, Danielle Hunter. Their edge position is clean. They don't need anything else there. There's a lot of good things they've done. They could go receiver here. Help out your young quarterback, and that makes a lot of sense to me. I really like Adonai Mitchell. I like that fit. However, I don't think I want to go there right now. The O-line could use a tad bit of help. They could use maybe an interior D lineman. The problem is there's not a lot there right now to fit. To me, the receiver position does make the most sense, and I think Brian Thomas Jr. is the guy. I just think they like his upside, and Adonai Mitchell does slide a little bit. I personally have a fit for him that I just really like, and I want him to go there, to be honest with you. So he'll go there in a minute, probably, unless something else changes. Either way, the Cowboys. They could really do a lot here. They've been very quiet in free agency. Either tackle could be good. Jackson Powers Johnson could be good. Tyler Guyton's an option. Ladd McConkey's an option. Troy Franklin's an option. Adonai Mitchell's an option. TJ Tampa. Darius Robinson's an option. But I think we're going to stay up here. We are. Yeah, definitely are. To me, the tackle position is a big need. They lose Tyron Smith, and that's a big loss. He's an all-pro multiple times. I think here, you go best player available. It's probably Troy Fautanu. He can play wherever you need him to on that O-line. Particularly that tackle spot would be completely fine with him there. The Green Bay Packers. This is an interesting one. I don't know where to go here right now. Tackle does make a lot of sense. They did just lose Bakhtiari. They cut him. They could go receiver. They could go potentially corner. Though I don't know if I love the corner guys left. Kool-Aid's fine, but just not a lot there to be desired. Did not mean to click that. Maybe they go with the Kamari Lassiter. He might be good enough, but really, I don't think so. To me, the tackle position makes too much sense. Graham Barton can do it all. Amarius Mims is more of a right tackle than anything. Tyler Guyton can probably play either side. Most of his snaps are at right tackle. He's bounced to left tackle a little bit. How much has Mims play on the left side? I want to see. None. He's played right tackle and that only. Yeah, that makes me really want to go with Barton here because he can kind of do whatever. He's played left tackle in college. He also he can play center. This guy does whatever. I think that's where we go here simply because I don't know. Amarius Mims is too good of a player. We're going to go with him. They'll figure out the left side, get a really good right tackle in the process. The Buccaneers, wow, this one's a tough one as well. I think we're going to go, they don't need receiver. They could go corner. They did just trade one of their corners. I think that's going to be where we go. It just makes too much sense right now. Though I do like Darius Robinson here as well. But we're going to go with Kool-Aid McKinstry. It makes a lot of sense. It's a good player and a good fit. The Cardinals, they go with Marvin Harrison Jr. earlier. Obviously, they could double dip. It doesn't matter. They just need some talent on the team. To me, Tyler Guyton would be a really good pickup. Play him at the right side and then jump Paris Johnson Jr. back over to the left side. That's a route you could go. Jordan Morgan is potentially an option. Not the best, though. But really, the best thing for me, in my opinion, would be to go get an edge rusher. Right now, you don't have a guy that really can be a good edge rusher in the league. And I think Darius Robinson has risen his stock enough to go ahead and do that. And now, here it is, Adonai Mitchell to the Bills. It would be a match made in heaven. Just an absolute freak wide receiver. Him, Stephon Diggs, they bring in Curtis Samuel today. That would be a really good three-man rotation there. I really like that, just overall. There's nothing about that makes me upset. Now, we know what we're going for here. There are 3 places you go with this pick, and it is corner, safety, or edge. That's it. No other options here, in my opinion. Newbin, Tampa, Braswell potentially, Chop Robinson potentially, Kamari Lassiter potentially. Ennis Rakestraw probably not. I think here, though, your best bet is to go get Chop Robinson. Be a really solid player opposite Aiden Hutchinson, and just positional value just makes too much sense. The Ravens here, they don't need a center. Potentially could use a tackle, but I don't think you're too worried about that at the moment. Ladd McConkey would be a sick Raven, that's for sure. Then you got some cornerback help. TJ Tampa would be nice. Sanders still, I don't feel like he's a first-round guy. Rakestraw could be a guy for the Ravens. That makes sense positionally. I like that one. Lassiter as well could be good. I think we're going to go corner here. They are potentially looking at getting rid of Marlon Humphrey. They also lost Geno Stone. Corner makes a lot of sense. To me, it's just best player available, and that's tough here. I'm probably going to have to say Lassiter, Rakestraw, or Tampa. We're going to go with Ennis Rakestraw. He's a very physical guy. It makes a lot of sense for the Ravens. They play a very physical brand of defense, and he just fits that. It makes sense. Now, the Niners are another fit. They have a match made in heaven here that I just don't think anything else is going to happen. That's Graham Barton. This guy can play wherever you want on the O-line. And they need that. They need somebody who can play wherever on the O-line. They need somebody who can play guard this year. They might need a tackle next year. They might need a center the next year. He'll do all of them. He'll do that. He'll just not punt the ball. Either way, that makes too much sense. And here at the Chiefs, one more time, a position that makes way too much sense, receiver. It's just who? Ladd McConkey, Roman Wilson, Xavier Worthy. He's still here. Tez Walker potentially. That's really it, I think, first round wise. Could Worthy go earlier? Potentially. I think so. But I don't know. I just feel like he doesn't really fit in the first round outside of the speed. But they did just pick up Hollywood Brown, and that's kind of a similar player. Ladd McConkey's a bit of a different player. Roman Wilson, he's not really a first-round guy to me, but could do it. Ricky Pearsall. Troy Franklin could still be a first-round guy. He might not be the best receiver, but could still potentially go here. Xavier Worthy just makes too much sense, though. You have issues at the receiver spot. Go get guys that are just going to take the top off and let Mahomes just drop bombs all season long to him and Hollywood Brown. So, here is our mock draft. What do you think about this draft? Let me move this out of the way so you can see it for sure. Make sure you get a good look at it, see who each team takes. Let me know what you think your team will take in this draft. We're so far out, we don't know what's going to happen. It could be anything. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Trying to get to 1,000 subs, and we'll do a jersey giveaway as soon as possible. Either way, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video.